So I want to start into this live today by saying that Sam, my friend Sam here, and I are very, very, very angry at you. We're mad at you. We're pissed off. We're fucking mad at you. And the reason why is because we feel like we care about your success more than you do. Why do we care more about you having an amazing social life than you do? Why do we care more about you making some bank than you do? Why do we care more about you being happy than you do? Why do we care more about you traveling the fucking world than you do? And what kind of paradigm shifts would you have to do that? Now, if you don't remember Sam, back in the OG days, him and I used to go out 2015, 16, 17. I'm Santa Claus. Sam's the elf. It's an unstoppable team. Santa the elf. And so he had to go back to Australia. And in the government's wisdom, for Sam's safety, to protect him, they locked him in his house for a couple of years because it was a lot worse in Australia. I mean, a lot safer in Australia than it was in the rest of the world. It was a particularly safe environment in 2020. Your government will not allow you to be unsafe. Your government cared more about you than even the U.S. government cares. An incredibly caring government for his safety. And so we haven't had a chance to chat for a while. So finally, Sam's back in the U.S. He's doing some of his own coaching. We used to work together back in the day. He does his own coaching. I got to look him up. He's back here, crushing it. And so he's here to talk about paradigm shifts. And what are some of his greatest paradigm shifts? And the reason why we're going to be talking about these paradigm shifts, as far as banking it, social skills, particularly, that's his main area. Being a happier person, evolving, personal growth. The reason he's going to be talking about that is because what we've been talking about lately, the Blueprint Reloaded. And the Blueprint Reloaded is basically building on the program that was the largest influence to Sam and myself back in the day. It was called the Blueprint Decoded. And basically that came out in 2007. And so now we're sitting here in 2024. And just like back in 2007, when I worked on that for about half a decade, the Blueprint Reloaded was the next program that I spent about a half a decade creating. And this was a seminar that would cost, it was about $5,000 to attend that seminar. There's different versions of it. And it runs for about 4 days. And it's the most intense dive down the rabbit hole I've ever done. You've never really seen me teach. Okay, if you're somebody who only watches YouTube, you're basically a non-serious person. If you're somebody who cares about your cash, cares about social skills, cares about success, cares about your personal growth, cares about spiritual ascension, you care about that stuff, get inside the Blueprint Reloaded. And what we have inside of there is actually a group and regular calls. And these are regular calls with me. So if you want to do regular calls with me and my team, and you want to actually have an experience where you're part of a group, we're going to be running that for the next little bit. And every single day that you wait, you're not talking to me and the team, you're not inside the group, and the countdown clock is ticking down, and you've lost your chance. So make sure that you get inside there right now. If you like that OG kind of content, get inside Blueprint Reloaded now. Do it right now while you're thinking about it. It's something that is by far my best content, not the kind of stuff that we do. YouTube is about fun, having a great time together, and learning a few things. Getting inside there is where we get really, really, really deep. That's for you if you're just sick of not having exactly the cash, social skills, habits that you want. If you're like, I want it now, what I guarantee inside Blueprint Reloaded is that if within 1 month, you're not at double your understanding of cash, social skills, personal growth, and living the kind of life that you want, if you're not at double, refund the fucking thing. You need the money worse than me. Frankly, though, you should really be at 10x. If you go through this program properly, do the calls, get in the group, participate, watch the content, and you're not at 10x within a month, I don't know what to fucking tell you. I'm clueless what to tell you, okay? So that would terrify me. It's a no-brainer. I've done this for 2 decades. Get inside here. I'm really, really looking forward to working with you. But likewise, in the same way that I want to work with you, a guy who I've worked with back in the day is Sam. And I'd actually like Sam to share his greatest paradigm shifts. Now, Sam is somebody, I'm going to describe where he's at now, and then we're going to rewind. So right now, Sam's at a point where he's really living the life. He's traveling the world. He's got incredible social connections. Dating life is just psycho. I've seen a lot of people he's enjoyed it, sharing his time with. It's totally, totally, totally insane. But really just a much, much happier person than you could ever imagine. And Sam, funny enough, as my happy elven homeboy, as Santa Claus here, back in the day did not start like that. And so I'd like you to describe a little bit, just for the audience watching this. We're talking about paradigm shifts.
Yep.
And what I always say is that wherever it is that we're at, it's really this kind of like everything has a trajectory and a momentum to it, right? So in 2012, you've talked openly about this. You actually hit the point where you actually attempted suicide. And that is a cycle. That's a spiral, right? Where you're so much in a trance that you're ready to just say, fuck all this shit, because you're in this trance, right? And you're basically in a flawed paradigm. It's a flawed, wrong paradigm. You've had some wrong paradigms put in your brain. And then you could eventually begin to unwire that. And we're not trying to be suicide coaches here, but I'm just trying to make, you talk to a doctor or a psychiatrist or whatever that would be for you if you need that. But what we're saying, just as far as like getting to that much of a point of being like, fuck it, looking at this from a pragmatic standpoint, what kind of paradigm would you say that you were in when you got to that point where you're just like, fuck it, like there's just nothing left? What was because I want to kind of build this out to better paradigms and a paradigm of an awesome life. But what kind of paradigms would you say that you kind of started off in at that point, just to share your story and to kind of maybe talk to somebody who might feel that way now?
Exactly. I think at that point, I was a completely different person. Mind, body, spirit, every belief, everything. I was a shell of who I am today. I was a completely different person. It was as if you had a different Sam, and he was hijacking the whole body, the whole brain, who I was as a person. And it, quite frankly, someone that I don't recognize or don't even associate with anymore. And that's the crazy thing, because at that, to think of how far I've come, that point there is almost, I call it the biggest catalyst of my life. It was the moment that changed everything for me. But looking back at it, it's like, wow, I can't even believe I got there. That's the scary part. I can't even associate with that.
What caused you to get there?
It was a breakup that caused me to get there. There was a breakup with a beautiful girl. It was the first girl I ever had. And she was, everything about that relationship was great, except I was, just so young and naive. And from there, it led me into this part of my life where, I got addicted to a drug, a sleeping drug, because I couldn't sleep. And in that point in my life, I just wanted to feel something. I wanted to feel anything other than the heartbreak that I was feeling. Any other emotion. This could have been just pain that was a physical pain. It could have been, but I couldn't feel anything. So the sleeping medication actually fixed that. I'd wake up, I'd feel as if I'd been hit by a truck. And I got to that point where it got to the point, and for a lot of people that don't know, the man next to me, literally, I'm not exaggerating, he saved my life. Mind, body, and spirit saved my life. We were 20 seconds away from me not being here. You know that. 20 seconds. And a video of you came up, and it was destiny. It has to be destiny. I can't explain it otherwise. It was the right time, the right place. Everything was aligned. And for me to be able to even relate to you, it must have been the words you said in the video. It must have been something, but you gave me the light, this little light that the dark Sam that was there just could, it's like the pinhole light, and it started to get bigger and bigger. And that was the point I was at. It was so close that I couldn't even believe that I got there in the first place, looking back.
Well, once you were at the point where you were going to attempt to do that and you were able to walk it back, did you immediately feel better, or like just enough to keep going? Like, what was it like to walk that back and not to do it?
It was as if I'd taken a drug. It was as if I from that moment on, to tell you the truth, I didn't sleep for 2 days. I watched every video of you.
Was that? Thank you.
No, I did.
See, yeah. I told you. Okay, so and then what did you keep coming? Yeah. So okay, but what did you? So you're watching that, and then you also went off the sleeping pills. Was that also what happened?
Yeah. So straight away, as soon as I watched the video, and I remember the video so vividly, I remember everything about it. And it came to me, actually it was so foreign to me that I couldn't remember it, that video or that name, until about 2019. Wow. And then I remember the video.
Was it because you were like in like a kind of a trance kind of thing?
I blocked it. It was completely it was a part of your life you don't want to remember too much.
Yeah. How if you were like an author describing the emotions that you felt viscerally when you were at that point, how would you describe that? As far as like because it's one thing to just be like really pissed, upset, but it's another thing to be like, fuck this. Like I got nothing left here. Like what got you to that point? Like, what was that like emotionally? How would you describe it?
There were moments in the breakup and going forward that, you know, it was almost like torture. I was torturing myself. Not only every thought, I couldn't get it off this one thought. Every thought or every emotion was the exact same emotion over and over and over again, and there was no changing it. I couldn't shift it at all. And
So it's like a car stuck in lock.
yes,
It's just stuck there.
yes, or it's like you've cranked it all the way and you're just looping. And you're just going and going, and the petrol's going down further and further until you know that there's going to be eventually, you're going to stop. So something has to happen. Change has to happen. And it was kind of, I would say that it was as if, you know, when you tighten something like the spring in the car and you tighten, you're like, oh no, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
I almost felt like I knew what was coming, but I needed it.
Did you want the pain to go away as well?
Yes. I wanted the pain to go away. And so there would be times where I'd be like, I remember a time where I'd be smashing my head against a pole just to try to get the thoughts to change. That's how crazy it was. And I couldn't get the thoughts to change. I couldn't change. Like I couldn't change. So I needed something to help me change. And that's what the big, I think that's, if you think of a more of a manifestation, that's what found you.
Let me say something about that too. I'll tell you straight up.
Yeah.
Sometimes what we need is a catalyst of some kind, and we disown our own power. Like, you actually have a huge amount of power, as you're seeing now, and you at home, you have a lot of power. But sometimes, like even for me, say watching Kobe Bryant as an example, I would watch Kobe. But what you're not realizing when you're watching Kobe is, like, it's not about you watching Kobe. Kobe is not revealing to you the power of Kobe. Now, Kobe, obviously, he has a basketball skill that you can't get, but Kobe is actually revealing to you your own light. He's revealing to you your own power that you would accomplish in your own happiness and domain and life's journey and destiny and so on and so forth. So he's an example and a light of somebody who, you know, is actually manifesting his own destiny. So, but sometimes, like, you know, when I'd see Kobe, it's like, it was so incredibly electric before he passed that, you know, I'd feel like it was Kobe, but not fully able to integrate that is actually revealing of the light of God, the light of humanity, the light that God has given us, and that all of humanity shares. And so, you know, when you're watching those videos, you are actually having your own light. Like, I'm just like some dude in his 30s, just like, you know, doing some like niche, you know, social skills content and stuff like that. I'm putting my all and effort into it. But I think what you were seeing was how much I care about that content, and me, it's not even really about like just like dating or like relief, like, oh, I could meet someone new. It's, you're seeing something where you're saying, oh, this guy is like a regular guy like me, and he's pressing, rather than being this stuck in the muck and in this like spinning the tires in the mud and just, you know, right, and the engine revving, he's actually like able to make some forward momentum here. And I realized that I could also do that. But at the time, you were not able to own that power in yourself. So you would attribute that to me or my videos. But later, as you're progressing, you now see your own power, and that anything that I can do, like, I'd have my own path or version of it, but you also have your own path or version of it, and you have your own path or version of it. But sometimes you just don't, like when you're watching somebody who's just really trying and leaning into their edge, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Almost like they're different from you or they're distant from you, but they are you. Because what you're seeing is actually the light in them that can actually be unveiled to yourself. And I think that was a little bit of what you saw, but maybe didn't realize at the time.
Oh, 100%. Like, you know, to the point where you became, you know, there was an obsession that was born from it. And that was the amazing thing, because to see you and just see you do it. It might not have been this video or that, just to see you do it. A person could be able to change their social life like that. And you did that. And then hearing your story and being able to relate to your story. And and that pinhole got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually stepping into that light. And I think that was kind of like the washing over of where the black and the darkness and the every emotion that I felt of wanting to get rid of this existence changed in a moment.
That's amazing. And what are some things that you think that somebody watching could sort of do to have that paradigm shift themselves? You know, yours was through content that you found of mine, but, you know, for other people, it could be finding other people's content. What are some other things that, like, what would you say to somebody who's in that muck and just like about understanding that they're in a fucking trance
Yep.
and that they could break out of it and what it's like to break out of the trance. Like, what would be like something that you would say to somebody watching now who'd be watching you now
Yep.
and kind of, like what's the message that they would
want to
get?
change and action, the biggest things. In that point where I was, there was no change and there was no action. There was the point of just running the same loop over. And so what I would say is the habits that you've got yourself in, the habits that I had myself in, were not helping me, and they were very destructive. And so if I took a third person perspective of going, okay, this is my life. If I really did this, and I think you helped me like step out of the haze, wipe the mud off and go, oh, hang on, no, what was all that about? Almost as if it was like that. What was all that about? I put like a third person perspective and go, okay, these are the problems. Don't take it so personally. These are the problems. How do we fix it? What is the actions and what are the things we have to change in order to get a different result? Not even a better result. I couldn't even fathom a better result. A different result than what's currently being played. And I would say that was a big epiphany. Some sort of action that you can track and manage. I did this and this happened. I did this and this happened, because what I was doing was so unconscious that it wasn't registering. And so a great way that I always did is when you told me in one of the videos to start journaling or just writing down things that's what I did. As soon as I did that, I found a huge, not only relief, but I found a practical thing that I could go back to and go, hang on, I did this at this time, and then that improved that, and that improved that. Wow, okay. I have something that I can go off. That was the thing, because most people are just running with the state, like you say, the like no actionable, precise thing that they're doing, actually tracking anything. Most people are just, unfortunately, unconscious, like you say, a lot of the time.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can even dig it up and send to Ibrahim right now. But there was a Chris Williamson clip that's kind of a little bit viral. Maybe we can find it. Maybe we can't. See if you can find it. Maybe. Otherwise, see if I can dig it up. But what he says is that we treat men and women often the same in therapy. Where say that a woman wants to feel loved and feel I don't know if he said special. I can't quite remember what he said, but he said that often men want to feel competent and they want to feel like they can have mastery over a domain. It's like, and I could definitely say that. I mean, I really don't need like a ton of like hugs and pats on the back. But if I feel like I'm just like completely incompetent and that I just don't have a trajectory to like keep being in my power in some way, that's one of the most truly deflating things that can happen. And then I think, I was also a suicide risk, and I wasn't at the point that I was about to do it. But to be honest, and I'm not proud of this, but I often felt, and this is wrong, by the way, this is just deranged, but I felt like I was almost a coward for not doing it, because I was like, I clearly hate my life so bad that but I'm too afraid to even do something proactive and end it, was how I felt. And that if I was really a real man, I would recognize that like the system sucks and people suck and I suck and everything sucks. And if I was really a real man, I would end it. And I genuinely felt that way. And I was actually mad at myself for not having the balls to do it. That made it worse. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I looked forward to was to build up the balls to do it. Now, what a bizarre, strange outlook. I would look at things like, people who had done that and just think like, yeah, like they went out like a G, like, thinking this. And it's like an inversion of God. It's Satanism is like an inversion of God. And it's like you in the same way that we'd be optimistic about spending time with our families or going into nature, going skiing or things like that. Like that's what I looked forward to, is like my own destruction. And it was a lot of just like, again, like this deep numbness and it just, I mean, it just goes and goes, for years, you're just waiting for this pain to end. And, I would listen to like, Trent Reznor, like, I hurt myself today to see if I still feel right. And it's like, that has an audience because he's almost like the kind of like the, like the alpha, like the apex alpha male of like the depressed guy. And, and can even like play some music, like, yeah, da, 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 like all that kind of stuff. And, I hate to say this because it sounds so tacky, but it really was mystery and the community that pulled me out of it. And it's weird to say that, like, that's what fixed that. And I'm not suggesting that necessary for somebody else that it would be, or like, I'm not saying like, oh, skip therapy and like, just go out and socialize. I'm not saying any of that. It's just simply too anecdotal, right? We're not experts on this topic. We're just giving anecdotes, personal anecdotes. We're not giving you medical advice or psychiatric advice at all. Talk to a therapist, talk to a doctor. But as far as us just anecdotally, what we personally experienced, I've been to therapy when I was younger. And again, just anecdotally, he'd ask me about my problems and things like that. I was like kind of mad at my mom and, things like that. And, then he's like, okay, well, I could put you on a SSRI, which is a serotonin selective reuptake inhibitor, I think that is. And, I remember I tried so many different things for my depression. I did an SSRI for about 2 months. I felt just like kind of numb and I couldn't jerk off properly. Like I tried to jerk off and it was like, just nothing would come out. I'm like, this sucks. Like this is all I have. You take away fapping now, right? Like you could eventually get it, but you really gotta, it's like good preparation for when I'm 90. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're like a 90-year-old man here, just like, come on. Yeah, you're just like, you're gonna have to pass out a couple times and take another crack at it. It's just, it's all that effort. You can't even do this now. So it's just, just kind of like a little numb and like I think what happens is that there's too much serotonin or something like that, and then it causes your ability to ejaculate to go down or something. So so now I'm just sitting there kind of like numbed out, can't wank it. I'm just kind of like in a rough spot. So so I got off that shit. Then had a great day. But anyway, so and that's the end of the video. That's the answer right there. Get off those SSRIs and just start wanking it. Solve all your problems. So anyway, so yeah, it's one of these things where it's like a fucking clusterfuck, And I had a similar experience where I remember like my girlfriend dumped me in college, and I couldn't even get myself to go to school. It was just like months of hell, just waiting for this pain to discharge, and believing wrongly that if another girl liked me, that the pain would go away, right? Like. And you had a similar experience? Want to speak on that a bit, actually?
Well, it wasn't so much that, but it was. That's the first thought. Like everyone says, oh yeah, like I'll get another one and it'll feel much better and it'll take all the pain away. And oh no, it didn't do anything.
Yeah, I know, it's a fucking mess. It's a fucking train wreck, it's a fucking train wreck, right? So, even when you're evolved, you need periods of celibacy after breakups and stuff like that, even at a high level of evolution, let alone when you're like all chumped out and you're like, could someone fill the hole? Right? Talk about a recipe for fucking disaster. Yeah. So it's, and I remember I went from, like almost like in the realm of Hungry Ghosts, I went from like girl to girl to girl being like, do you want to come to a movie? And I was like the non-threatening guy with a girlfriend at my school. So then all of a sudden it's like, wait, did his girlfriend leave him? Oh shit, he looks all fucked up. Oh shit, he wants to take me to a movie. And I initially thought I had it on lock. I'm like, oh, there's like 15 people that I could take out. I'm gonna be fine. And then slowly but surely, as like my options dwindled and I didn't know how to go out and it was just left empty, I just sat there. I would play, Street Fighter versus X-Men and Street Fighter versus Marvel on my like. I had a Japanese version of it on a Sega Saturn with like a converter thing, and it was pretty cool. And I'd play like Panzer Dragoon Saga and like these like obscure video games you've never heard that are really cool. And I just play there, just like waiting for the pain to go away, hoping that it would go away, and just doing anything that I could to distract myself and wishing that it would end. But you see, what really happened to me was I grew up with depression. Finally got a girlfriend. That alleviated it for a bit and made it feel like it was fixed to some extent. But then immediately when the rug got pulled, she's gone, and I realized like, not only am I in the same pain that I used to be, but it was almost like a credit card where all the pain that I could somehow get away from is now dumping on me. And it's like it was literally like a credit card where now I've got to pay back a debt. So it's like I've got to like repay, the 2 years of pain that I would have had and the burden of the current pain. And it just lasts and lasts. And there's just not even any kind of a way out. And the funny thing is like, it's not even about like, that you could somehow like get someone new or like get sex now or something like that. It's more the having, I don't know, this is how I took it. It was kind of like having like a project. It was like a direction, a project, an area that you can master and just starting to have things to do where you feel like you're kind of moving forward. And that's why I always say that the first thing that you learn is how to, in these situations, is how to relate to women, because anybody can go out and just kind of like, pump somebody's state for a little bit and get them laughing. And women are fun. And as long as you're kind of fun, you're kind of confident, a lot of women are going to want to talk to you, right? So you learn that first. The next thing that you learn how to do is you realize, well, okay, so maybe some girls like me, but I still hate myself, right? And so that's the thing is like you start to recognize like, I've got to learn how to relate to myself, because now I'm feeling better when I'm around women, but I'm not okay in my own head when they're not around, and this sucks. So I got to learn how to relate to myself. That's kind of like what Blueprint Decoded was about. Yep. Then what you later realize, and this is kind of a funny one, but we'll maybe skip this one today, or maybe we'll go into it, or maybe future video go into it, because I'm sure we'll chat again. But what I later realized is that you've also later learned how to relate to other men. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because if you've never actually undertaken a project at a high level where like you've learned to relate to women, you've learned to relate to yourself, you've now undertaken some major projects, and you value your time and your energy and your focus, your concentration a bit more, you can't respect another man who's doing the same thing. And you kind of view him as like distance from yourself. And again, view him now looking at like, Kobe as the light kind of vibe, where it's like you look at some other person as above you, but you get to the point where you realize like, no, like I share that same light, and I can learn to respect their time and energy and focus and direction. So you learn to actually have, because what happens is that when you're a man who's operating at a high level, when you meet other men that are not at that same paradigm, they often don't respect your time. They don't respect your focus. They don't respect your energy. And they bring a lot of weird stuff to the table, and a lot of weird dynamics. And they're just not there yet. They'll get there someday, hopefully, but they're just not quite there yet. So again, learn how to relate to women. That comes quick. Then later realize it didn't solve anything. Got to learn how to relate to yourself. Well, it solves some things, right? Give you a little thrill. Solve some things, Didn't need to spend but it's, but the point is that it didn't ultimately, it basically medicates the problem, right? You basically learn how to it's the equivalent of learn how to smoke a joint or something. It medicates the problem, but better than nothing. But then you realize, well, wait a minute, when I was able to kind of fake my way through and look like this fun, confident guy, and that got me some success, what if I could just become that guy? I want to be that guy, right? That's why Blueprint, deep identity level change. It's like, I want to be him, but then as you become that guy, then you realize, oh, there's other guys that are like that. And then they have that light, and I could have that light, and then I could reach the pinnacle of my evolution. So, and of course there's no ultimate pinnacle, but you could just, go, up that sort of triangle. So what would you say then? You've kind of talked a little bit about the suicide part. Yep. If you have more to say about it, I want to hear about it, by the way, because I think a lot of people struggle with this. Yeah. But then from there, we could go into some other paradigms that you went through. But what would you say are if you have anything more to say about what it's like to be in the haze of this? Because there's going to be somebody watching this that's in that haze, and there's going to be everybody watching this that is experiences tastes of it. Yeah. So maybe some thoughts on that.
Well, I threw my whole career away. Mm-hmm. So I was playing golf for at least, a number of years, and I was trying to go professional. And when this happened, threw the whole career away. Yeah. Threw everything I'd worked at for so long, so many hours. And as if I just couldn't pick up a golf club ever again. It was a golf. I was trying to become a professional golfer. Had to give it away. I couldn't concentrate, and imagine that. Your whole thing that you've worked your whole life at. You got bullied for in school. You've sacrificed everything. You used to skip school to do this. This is your world. Now, because she took all your mental RAM. And it's like, wow, you were able to give that up just because of that. And how many great people have lost and would have gone on to do great things because of something like this. So many of them. And it comes down to, you look back and you're like, wow, you threw it all away a little bit.
My father was going to be an optometrist and threw it away from my mom and failed out of optometry school and then wound up getting a government job. I also was on a trajectory to do my PhD at Queen's, and I messed that up because of this. So you had a similar experience.
Wow. I think everyone, it's, and I always think that looking back, this is
over a girl. What are we doing?
One girl. One girl.
Now, we're at points now where could we just be with the boys? Could we have some alone time? What were we thinking?
Over one girl, just a bit of attention. For mine, it was only 3 months.
Wow.
3 months. 3 months over this 90 days. Yeah. It's crazy. Looking back, I now, like exactly what you just said. It was the new era. Looking back, a new version of me was born. And that was huge. That was, really, really looking back. And what's funny? There'll be still guys that have maybe never experienced this that will experience it. And for them to understand and know and be ready and prepared to know that these are the things that they'll be experiencing, and to really almost not even align that much with the dark thoughts that are coming in. That'll be a big thing, because every time you'll see it with everybody. What do they call it? The villain arc, or the new arc is born. A new era in your life is about to start, and that is a journey. So, whatever your journey had just finished, and I look at breakups because they're very time stamped in your life. Have you noticed that?
Definitely.
You remember the years, you remember where you were, you remember the location.
All the major ones. That never ends.
Yeah, never. Well, everything. Even I was asking, my grandparents, and they remembered, the person before them, and they were married 60 years. So a lot of the time I look at it now as the big epiphany going, this is happening for me. This is happening for me, not to me. This is a progression. Something great's going to happen from this. Something I've asked for something. I'm trying to get something, and this is the event, the catalyst that is going to propel me to that. Like you said, that upward momentum. You can't spring, like anything. You got to pull down to shoot back up. And so I look at it whole differently now. And this is for every bad, that breakup taught me was that maybe a bad thing in my life isn't bad. And that was like, whoa. Are you saying that like sometimes a really, really bad thing that happened is good for me? Looking back, I'm like, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. That breakup, I wouldn't be here, wouldn't have known you, wouldn't have done everything. It was single-handedly the greatest thing that ever happened. And I said it a lot of times. I would kiss that girl's feet because she's changed the last 11, 12 years of my life wholeheartedly. That was the point. I'm eternally grateful for that. Imagine if that didn't happen. Holy hell, I don't know where I'd be. And I'm sure the same with you. Looking back.
Yeah, even I mean, I would say that about early breakups, but I would even say that about recent breakups, like ones that I've had as an adult. And yeah, they're tough. You love when you really, really love somebody deeply. And any of my major ex relationships, like it's weird to say this, but like I would have given my life for those girls, And so, and I'm sure they don't feel that way. They're like, you couldn't even get me like a flower when I wanted, motherfucker. I need your life, Owen. Maybe a ring, but it's like, I really, when you like actually give everything, for somebody, and you give the best that you have, and it maybe didn't resonate with them for whatever reason. And, but you gave everything that you were capable. You tried your best. You gave what you had to give at the time. And yeah, it's an incredible transformation. And I would say that, and I could actually do a whole video about like, what I've learned from breakups, as a older person, because you learn different things. Like at a younger age, what you really learn is the powerful lesson of the pain of investing your happiness into another human being rather than being able to find that within yourself and then having someone there to amplify and share that happiness with. But you'll really, really get that. And, at an older age, you learn even deeper lessons from it. But what I would say is that, hopefully people could, if they want to have a young family, they could find some other way to have those incredible lessons. But, if life can go in many different directions. So the thing is, what I think that you took from that was that had you stayed with her, you would have permanently been, and this is not about even sex, even though, like, of course we always think it is, but it's not even about sex. Is anything not just about sex? No. Okay, no, it's not just. Just keep telling ourselves it's not about sex. No, but it's like it's not about sex. It's that you were in a paradigm where you believed that your happiness and your joy and your sense of identity was not just something that as connected to God or connected, found within yourself and found within your light. And so you go through that experience and you have it ripped from you. And the fundamental lesson is this is almost like, because I don't do psychedelics myself, but a lot of people would say from psychedelics that it gives them a reference experience where they can see what their mind could do. But obviously you go back to being sober, but then you kind of have at least some reference of like what it could have been like, right? So having that girl, it's like a reference, like, no, I could be happy. I could feel that way. But now I've had that, as a crutch, but I've got to now learn to give that to myself, right? Obviously you're not gonna be like, to be fair, you could learn to give it to yourself. No, but that's why I am pro-FAP, okay? Okay, because this is, side tangent. Okay, all this no FAP thing, I am pro-FAP. We got to start the pro-FAP movement, because to be successful in any relationship, you've got to know that you can provide love to yourself and that you don't completely need them to function. So if you are not pro-FAP, then basically as soon as you break up, you are literally going to be in the most massive blue ball state known to man. And like, I've done the no FAP thing, and I'm sorry, but all that happens is that you're just in a state of permanent blue balls, and eventually when you come, it looks like fucking vanilla pudding, fucking white Play-Doh. How is that cool? Oh, the dopamine problem. I'll deal with the fucking dopamine problem. I am not dealing with the pudding, okay?
I'll permanently look at pudding differently.
Like the dead sperm count in your jizz that like, and then when you finally come, it's like, ow, oh, and then a bunch of pudding dribbles out. You're like, this is no FAP? Like how come nobody is talking? Why am I the guy that has to say this? I don't want to be this guy. I want to talk about inspiring stuff, the suicide stuff, the ascension. Why do I got to talk about the fucking pudding? Like, why have you all put me in a position where I even have to address this, okay? It shouldn't be called no fap. It should be called pudding blue balls, okay? Sometimes you got a woman in your life, and sometimes you don't. So now we go from woman to blue ball pudding. That's the only two paths here. There's no middle ground where you can just take care of this on a dry spell. Hey, when it rains, it pours, motherfucker. But sometimes when it's dry, it's dry. And sometimes vanilla pudding is not the pacifier. Anyway, back on suicide topic. Okay, getting serious again. Okay, so anyway, so I'm just kidding. Keep no fabbing it, baby. So. Yeah, but we could actually talk no fap. There's people that have had miracle breakthroughs on no fap, but that's didn't resonate with me. That's different strokes for different folks.
You don't want the pudding, man.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks, guys. Okay, so that would be the head of our pro fab webpage. Different strokes for different folks. So you can also see the other side of it. So, anyway, because I mean, otherwise, if you don't know how to fab, how do you go home? Right? Like say nothing pans out on a given night. How do you go home at that point? Yeah. You just go home and go, like, okay, I'm done. Okay. I just think fapping is the ability to go home if nothing pans out. Okay, so anyway, not to mention if your girlfriend's out of town, you know. Okay, I'm done. Okay, so back on the suicide. So
segue.
Back on the suicide. Okay. So why is it probably even like I intuitively want to start cracking idiotic jokes when we talk about this? Because that's another part of the way out of the fucking paradigm is you gotta learn to make things funny. You've got to be able to laugh, like that because that deep melancholy. I met Billy Corgan too, by the way, and he used to come to the crib back in the OG days. I lived with Courtney Love and Billy Corgan would come over, and I would listen to Billy Corgan as well, right? And amazing musician, so talented, but it does kind of, and love the guy, amazing, all amazing, but he was a Smashing Pumpkins guy, right? But so talented. But it was that kind of like, the world is a vampire, right? And you're just like all depressed. You're just like, like hypnotizing yourself, like, you know, and the pain, and the pain, and you're just like, oh, the pain, yeah. You know, you're addicting yourself like a crackhead to fucking pain. And like, to be fair, Trent Reznor and Billy Corgan are musical geniuses. So now you've got fucking musical geniuses. You're just sitting there fucking fapping and crying and listening to fucking Trent. You're like, oh, tell me, Trent, come on, man, right? And that's what this shit is. And fuck that, okay? No. Okay, maybe on a Friday, the odd Friday, like for old time's sake as a joke, but not if it's real, bro. So, you know, so it really is like, in the same way that we can hypnotize ourselves here on some dumb shit, you're actively hypnotizing yourself, you know, into a mode. My cousin Dylan commits suicide, okay? And I wasn't super tight with Dylan, but Dylan Cook, great fucking dude, left behind 2 kids. And like, I just want to bring him back and go, bro, you're in a trance. Snap out of it, you know? But when they're in it, it's like, fucking A, bro. And I've had a couple friends lost to suicide, and it's, bro, like, just wake up. But they're in it, you know, you're in it, you're in it, right? And just like, you know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Trent. I resonate, Trent, man. Yeah.
You know, just
Trent really gets me, man.
It gets to me, bro.
He speaks to me, man.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And then you start talking to yourself like that, and you're in it. You're just in it. You know, you're fucking in it. Yeah.
That clothing is really stunning. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. That's, you know, these gothics, these emos, man. They really talk that.
And then like, fuck all these like positive people, bro. Like, they don't get it, bro. They're like delusional.
The government or the world, man. They don't get it. They start the raspy voice and man, you just don't get it, man. You're trying to be too positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like why, man?
That was me. I was to the point where I'd go to walk home from school and I would just lie on the grass, just staring at the ceiling, just waiting for it to, because I was in the fucking trance, like just in the trance. But you know, and then it's like, man, it's like, what do you tell someone who's in it? And before we shift to the next thing, what any other thoughts? Just what would you tell someone who's in this?
Yeah, that's you know what? I think you have to show them.
Mhm.
Action is the only thing. There's one way that I know, one way,
Mhm.
and it was from the movie Inception.
Mhm.
You know, Inception. So you have to plant a seed in them. It has to be their idea. It cannot be your idea. You cannot bombard them as much as you want to wake them up. You need to plant the seed, and so the seed. What I would do is figure out, I'd try to get some sort of vision out of them, some sort of future. Like, where is it you want to go? Like something, because again, when I was day to day, no future, no nothing, day to day, just living moment to moment, not in a Eckhart Tolle spiritual way,
Yeah.
in the complete opposite way, which is so far away from Eckhart Tolle that it was you were unconsciously there. And if I could get them anywhere, I would say, like, what's a little bit of vision? And then what I would do is I would try, plant the seed, like, well, if you want that, you've got to do this, just to get them just a little bit, at least some sort of pinhole light that I had, some sort of light, whether it was, a relationship they wanted, whether it was, experience they wanted. I would just, with Inception, plant the seed, make it their idea. That's how I've done it with a few people. I've planned it, made it their idea, and it has changed. Maybe not 100% success rate, but it has changed. But that's the only way I've seen work successfully. But it's not a proven system or anything. It's just an idea that I've used, because again, what else do you tell someone? You've probably tried it 1,000 times, like you said. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake! Like you be like, what are you doing? And I know that wouldn't work, but you were able to plant that seed with me, and that's how I know it worked for me.
Yeah, it's for me. It's also. And were you ever able to find that Chris Williamson clip by any chance? I'll see if I can dig that up. I probably could, but it's yeah. Again, like I'll see if I can. Or yeah, I got my phone on me here. I'll see if we can dig it up. But it was like what. And while I try to dig this up, we'll see if we can.
Yeah.
What would you say about like how like the progression out of it and kind of crawling out of it, almost like in Batman Begins when he crawls out of being in that jail underground. What was it? What was like some of the more crawling out components like? And I'll see if I can find.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apologies if I'm being rude on the phone here. But
I think one of the biggest things that I did was goal setting. Goal setting is very, very important. Only small term goals. They don't have to be huge. I want to, rock out with Trent on the stage. It doesn't have to be that. It just these small little goals. And what that does is that gives you confidence. It builds your confidence. Little wins. You just need little wins under your belt. Even if it's you feel as if you can't get out of bed, and you do 7 days, you want to be able to get up and do a morning routine or anything, or just get out of bed, feel like you want to get out of bed. That's a win. Celebrate that. Start to change the way that you've been doing everything, because majority, if we look back through your life, and especially with me, you look back through your life, every single thing is keeping you trapped into that abyss, that darkness, that hole. Even the music. Second thing, get rid of the sad music. Get rid of it completely. For me, it was John Legend. That was the big thing. John Legend singing on. I would be on the ferry listening to it, and would just get rid of the sad music altogether. Huge, because even the frequencies that these artists tap into that. They want to keep you there. That's the crazy thing. That gets them more listens, gets them more money. There's actually
a whole bunch of. I'm not saying that I'm believing in this, but there's actually a whole bunch of conspiracy theories around this of like. Do you know this one? It's like the healing sound is like a 528 hertz.
Yeah.
So could you share the conspiracy theory?
Okay, this is it. It's a conspiracy theory that they changed it to 440 hertz. I'm pretty sure. It could be a different number, and that taps into your chakras and starts to be able to subliminally change who you are or change the frequencies in you. And 432 hertz is the idea that if you listen to all the old music at 432 hertz, it sounds better. It actually, type it in 440 hertz versus 432 hertz. Usually they do it with the Beatles, and you get a whole different feeling. You feel it in your body. So I definitely recommend, and they've done that on purpose along the way.
Yeah, it's if you have to understand this within a context of mass media. So what's funny is that for all the different issues come up on social media about like what can live on social media and what can't, and all these debates about it. Movies and rap music and all this stuff for years have been just like mass amounts of people killing, and also aggressive violence and so on and so forth. And I can enjoy that stuff. I'm not personally afraid of that kind of content or even looking to regulate it. But what I'm just saying is that like. Should be aware of how, the kind of impact it's having on you. Same thing as if you eat a cake, you should know what it's doing, not just be like, it's a carrot, you got to know what it is. It's about, it's some pudding, right? But, variety's the spice of life. I'm not trying to call for government intervention on this, but you should be aware of what this stuff is.
Yeah.
And I guess what I would say is, well, let's see. Are we able to catch that clip? Let's see if that will go for a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of reaction to that as well. We'll see how quickly he kind of gets into it. Give us a second here, guys, and we'll come back on the musical conspiracy thing here. Give us just 1 minute.
Good clip, though. That's a good clip.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I remember watching this.
Yeah, he nails it. He's all over this topic.
Yeah,
he's all over it.
Find solutions.
Go full screen, please.
Most men avoid therapy because most therapy approaches are not designed to help the male brain deal with pain or find solutions. That makes men believe therapy is worthless, and men skip things that feel worthless. Also, male depression is usually based on feeling helpless, powerless, and unable to affect one's life or environment. Therapy models focus on helping men feel heard and loved instead of restoring their sense of personal power. Men need solutions, not just feelings.
Absolutely. And we are churning out.
Very true. That's good. Yeah, it's it's like that I definitely say, even like with like past relationships I've had where, it's like, it's so funny watching the men are from Mars, women are from Venus effect. It's like, your girlfriend's like starts to talk about something she's frustrated by. You're like, well, you fixed, and then like, meanwhile you get frustrated by something. She's like, you're a good person. You're really nice. Yeah.
What are you talking about? I already know that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So it's like one of my most recent ex, she would say, don't be mad at yourself. Like, don't attack yourself. I'm like, I'm not attacking myself. Right? Like, do you understand the Do you understand the grandiosity bias that I'm dealing with? Like, I'm literally like holding myself back from going full Napoleon. Like, that's not my problem. Okay? So like, she could my inner dialect's like a rap artist. So it's so it's it's like a combination of like DMX and Lil Wayne. Like I'm the shit.
Opposite to Trent.
Yeah.
I'm the shit, man. Yeah. The swag, everything I do, man.
As you say that sounds very familiar to me. I'm like, that's literally how I'm like, how does he know that?
Hang on. What? It goes from I'm so sad to I'm the shit, man. I'm him, man. Timothy Jones, bro.
See if you can find the clip. Type in Austin Reeves, A-U-S, like Austin, like the city Austin, R-E-E-V-E-S. Austin Reeves, I am him. Let's see if that's like I really resonated. Yeah, there. Yeah, I'm him. There it is right there. See if you can. Yeah, here, play it. Is there a short clip of it? There should be. I think it's right there, bro. Yeah, it's very short. That's the one. Yeah, that's like, this is like my inner dialogue pretty much. Yeah, just let it rip full screen here. It's just a quick.
Reeves, 21 points, 3 assists, gets inside, off balance, jumper, got it to go! Austin Reeves, in his first playoff games, got 23.
Young fella putting on a clinic. Pick and roll basketball, you go underneath, you pay the price.
The last third of it. Yeah, that's why people really, I think that there's been much more hilarious clips of that because you could see his face, but we'll leave it at that. But anyway, the people really resonated with that clip. Like, that was like Austin Reeves' coming out party here in LA, and because you could see it wasn't just him forcing the I'm him. It was like a true in a trance, like he's in a fucking trance, like I am him, and it's like he can't even control it, right? Yeah. It's like it's like. A lot of times Jeffy will be over here and, he might have a companion in the other room, and you can really hear that he's like, he ain't faking, right? Jeffy ain't faking, right? It's like, and it's like, Luke's a bit like that too. You can really hear it. It's like, it's just trying to get your work done. And, it's like, it's legit. That was like the I am him, from Austin Reeves, right? So that's like, again, it's like on one side, I hurt myself, the other, I am him. And like, that's like funny to imagine, like, this is the ultimate journey, like from Trent to Lil Wayne, right? Like, and that's the end. Like, that's what I should have told my cousin Dylan. Like, no, turn off the Trent. Listen to Wayne, bro. The Carter 3, bro. They're just making this shit too complicated. But it's but what's sad is like when you're in a certain low resonance, you can't even resonate with it. Like you can't even your discernment, your input won't even let you hear that. Like, and you know, whether it be Lil Wayne or whatever, you can't even, like, you just look at them like they're losers, like they're it's like fake positive, delusional, right? And it's like a non-resonance, right? And you probably had that where there was good things in your life, but there was non-resonance. They always say in spirituality, the key to everything is gratitude. Yep. But it's like, if you don't have gratitude, it's like the spiritual input and filter, it's just kind of shut. And like, what do you think would have happened to you back then if, like, you know, you'd seen something positive or fun?
I mean, like, you know, it would have gone in one end, out the other, because my status and what I was gaining was like all these people telling me how good I was. So it was almost attention. Yeah, it was almost attention seeking. No, from the how depressed I was. Yeah,
from the depression.
Yeah,
because you get attention from it.
That was the bad part. Right. That was the really bad part, because then it was, oh, you know, you're a soft little kid. But now you're getting the attention, and that's where it's hard to get off. That's the like, you know, the drugs. And the more you do it, the more you get, and then they'd get more concerned with you. They'd be like, you know, is he okay? You know, but now you're getting more addiction to the validation, and that's where it gets hard. That's where it gets really, really tricky. And so I can understand.
Then you almost feel like a bitch for not ending it, because you're like, well, I've been fronting like I would. Now I look like I'm faking. Yeah. I got to show I'm legit. Yeah. Like, that's how deranged the mind can get.
Oh, much worse than that too. Yeah, no, 100%. And so when you put on something like that, it would just be like, no, I want my John Legend, man. My John. Oh yeah, it's just it's so tricky. So like, if anything, I think the one thing that like, even just forcing yourself to listen to the I'm Him music, creating a playlist on Spotify. The I'm Him, like, and I actually have a playlist on my Spotify, which is, I've looked at the lyrics and they're very positive lyrics, and I try to listen to it every day. And what you'll notice is that sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't want to. You want the trend, but some days you do it long enough and you start to really understand the lyrics. You start to you align with it more. So that was one thing that I did. A playlist where it's going to be hard at the start, but you'll get used to it.
What would you say? So then, you know, as we're kind of, I guess we're at about 15 minutes here. So maybe like to kind of wrap out the hour. Yeah. What would you say were some of the big shifts even beyond that? Because I want to make this sort of themed on, you know, this particular topic. But what are some, just sort of wrapping with it, some directions that you found going forward that allowed you to really emanate out of that?
100%. I think one of the biggest ways was that you can actually change your social life. There is. Not only were you a great example, you were, you know, from your story, you can actually change it. You're not stuck with the luck or the draw. You're not stuck with, you know, you're in this situation or that situation. You can change it. You have the ability to do it. That was huge. That was just mind blowing. That you're like, you're telling me all I have to do is this, and then I can completely change my social life. You know, and I'm like, all right, that way didn't work. So let me try something different, because I had that idea about change and action. That was huge. Just being able to be like, okay, well, I don't have any friends. I don't associate with my friends. I don't relate with anyone. And so you're telling me that I just have to do these things and I can get that. I did it. And then started to get that positive feedback. So you started to unaddict yourself from the, oh, you're okay, to, hang on, now I'm creating my own positive. And you talk about the positive feedback loop. Now I'm creating it. I'm at the charge. I'm the leader. Now I am the person running my life, not being run by an emotion or run by a situation or run by an ex. A little bit of fire starts to ignite under the belly there. Oh, okay. And then what I was lucky to have was that addiction to that feeling. I liked that feeling. I was like, okay, well, you know, and maybe that was more opportunities that I was taking advantage of. Maybe that was more, I was starting to, my gaze was starting to open. I was starting to become situationally aware, starting to become more social. So I was feeding off other people going like, that's not the way to live. And sometimes what happens is people segregate themselves so much and they forget what real life is. You know, they're video or they're on Zoom. They're only talking to people nowadays. They're watching terrible stuff on, you know, a lot of the people would be the murder documentary people. That's why I really don't like when people watch those things, because you're subliminally, you know, tricking yourself and changing yourself. And so what I found was when I would do those social activities, go out and go talk to people, I would then learn, oh, this is how you're supposed to be. Because majority of the time, even though I was in a dark place, I was like, okay, well, you have to, put a smile on, good body language, just say hello, ask them about their day. I don't even have to talk about myself. Even just that small interaction, it might have been the person at the coffee shop, it might have been the tram driver, it might have been just someone. It doesn't have to be a full-blown stranger interaction. Someone that gets paid to be nice to you. That was enough to wake me up from the hypnosis. That was huge. To get that feedback, to get that social feedback, because we need that pinging, like you talk about, that social pinging from one another. Otherwise, if you're getting it from external sources, from people that are tapping into that sort of behavior, you're just going to keep finding more and more and more. And the bad thing is, if you start to develop a social circle around those bad people, that's when you're never getting out of there until something major happens. Yeah.
So a self-reinforcing loop of a social circle.
The people are the worst, because then the hierarchy starts in the status, and then being trapped in there, that's the cool thing.
Yeah, it's weird because like even as we're talking about it, it's a weird thing where when you're in a mode where you're okay with where you're at in your life and you're enjoying your life to whatever decent, everybody has their ups and downs. That never ends. But when you're enjoying your life largely, and then you think about this stuff, like it seems like it's like it almost feels like you're bullshitting talking about something that doesn't even exist. Like people don't really do that, do they? It's almost like if you think about homelessness, right? Like say that we had like a whole video about homelessness, right? And like, is there like, there's almost like a part of your brain where you're like, people aren't really living in a cardboard box though. Yeah. Like they're not like, do we just make all this up? There's nobody living in a cardboard box.
A garbage bin, are they? Really? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's you just can't believe it's a thing. Yeah. And then what happens is you realize, no, that is a thing. And what you'll realize is that, being in a depressed state is sort of like only a couple layers removed from, somebody in that homeless state. It's maybe more, maybe less, but it's towards that end of the continuum. Probably a few more layers to go, but you know the point. And so when you're out of it, it just seems ridiculous. Like that's the best way that I could put it to you. It just looks completely, utterly absurd. And then, what I would also leave you with is like, if you're even somebody who's like operating even at an 8 out of 10 level, you'll eventually hit a 10 out of 10 level where the 8 seems absurd. And every single year as life gets more awesome, as you're in that upward spiral that we talk about here, how to achieve, every past year seems ridiculous. Like I just look at the things that I tolerated or allowed or engaged in, like every single previous year. And I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I also feel like I was in a trance. Like even something that would be like a good thing, like a good version of life that to most people might look really good. And I'm like, that was bullshit. Like I was in a fucking trance, bro. Like you'd have like this, like sounds great. I'm like, not enough. Yeah, it's just like bullshit, right? So like every single year, even at a 9 out of 10, your previous year will feel like it's on some bullshit, and that's the point of life, is that when you can engage that upward spiral, it all feels like some weird fucking trance. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? It all feels like that.
100%. They say if you're not cringing at the 12-month version of you before, you're not going hard enough. And that's the thing. If I showed myself, what's crazy? If you showed yourself right now to that version of you, I don't even think you would find an excuse. Oh, no, that's not real. No, that didn't happen. No, not a chance. That's how much you couldn't even relate with it.
Bro, imagine back in the day when I'm fapping, like at like 19, and like I see a future version of myself, like kind of fat with like a giant beard, and I'm like, bro, fat baby, like in a Hollywood Hills mansion, like in Los Angeles, like covered in bling. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Yeah, so it's it's like that's the win. You can do it too. Yeah, you're him. Yeah, busted, man. Yeah. So it's I mean, imagine what you would have seen. But what I think is like, let's maybe have some concluding thoughts on this topic, and then let's do another video together at some point soon. And let's sort of like we'll plan out like. We kind of cover like the base here, and then we're going to think of like the next step, but maybe some concluding remarks about this just as we kind of, wrap up our talk here today.
I think for everyone, they have to look at this and understand that this is your moment of the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is the moment where everything's burnt around you, where you feel as if it's nothing is going to change. It's always going to be like that, and there's no end in sight. except for the end that, you know, you've heard me about. Like, you know, if you're going towards that, the biggest thing, if you could ever understand that this is for you and this is changing you for the better, I will say that nearly 100%, I'm not going to say there might be, nearly 100% of the people I've ever heard have had a breakup like this, it's changed them for the better. If they can ride the wave, and that's almost like the test. I don't say it's, you know, God or anything, but it's just the life's test that tells you if you can get through this, you get the karma of it, you get the level up, and sometimes it's a great analogy. Just going, okay, just keep going, just an extra day. Come on, you can do it. Just that extra week. Come on, okay, let's get some social habits going. Let's get some good habits happening in our life. Okay, stop putting down the McDonald's. Stop listening to Trent. Start eating the custard.
It's like an instruction manual how to fuck yourself up. Like some guys to take his instruction manual, like starts pumping the custard, smoking weed, listen to Trent. Like, sounds fun. Maybe we should do that after this. Like, we should have a follow-up video to this, like infield footage. Sam and Owen eat the custard. Listen to Trent.
I'll take the vanilla.
Then the end of the video, it was all fake. It is bullshit. Yeah.
and then play Trent now as we go out in the distance. And I think that would be. I can't. But I would say
we're just covered in puddings
in the beard.
Viral video. Do it for the grandbaby.
I'm him.
Do it for Trent.
I'm him.
Yeah.
Blueprint reloaded.
Blueprint.
I'm him. Custard. So I would say the biggest things I would say would be doing the things that we discussed in here, because this is the moment that changes everything. Just understand it's a moment. It's a blimp in your whole existence. This is the blimp.
And that's why we entered this video saying we're fucking pissed. But why do we care about it more than you? And the reason why, and this is the conclusion of the video, is because when you get into a better vibe, you realize it's possible. And so we're here as ambassadors to tell you life can be fucking cool. A lot of cool shit in life. And so I get it, there's a gap. I get it, there's frustration, but you can get there. Whether you're at an 8 wanting to get to a 10, whether it is 0 wanting to get to a 2, whatever the case, 0 want to get to a 10, whatever it is for you, life can be fucking awesome. But you've got to actually begin to open up the channels to the positivity, get into gratitude, see a vision, start to take steps, build competency, go through that process. And that is a up and down, like you go up and then you get beat down. Because Sam has gotten beat down many times on the path. He didn't just like, like 2 months later after the thing, I got on the path and upward spiral, baby. It was a lot of this. And yeah, there's a lot of setbacks. We can talk more about that later too, but there's a lot of setbacks. There's so many setbacks. I've had them. I've been at the point, like even in the past years where I'm like, get me the gun, get me my gun. And it's just like, and that's I felt that way too, So it's one of these things where live and learn. And I've had to live and learn. And I've seen where you can get taken down to. So, and like Sam said too, it's also about the people that you surround yourself with and being aware of that too. That can create a lot of issues. But the point is, life can be fucking sick. See you inside Blueprint Reloaded. See you in there. Want to talk to you in person? Sam, will you come and do a bit of chatting with the people inside Blueprint Reloaded? We'll get Sam in there too. See you inside Blueprint Reloaded. Peace.